Hello and welcome to another No Stress Distressing video tutorial. This is tutorial number 10, and today we're working with water again to do some more interesting techniques. And this will all involve stamping with water on top of distress ink. And you'll get to see how it interacts and creates a really cool effect. So first, what I'm going to start out with, I'm going to do two techniques today. Both are similar, but you'll see the difference in a little bit. So I have my first little card here, and this, once again, like all the other videos in this series, is 5 inches tall by 3 3/4 inches wide, and that will go on the front of a normal sized A2 card with 1/4 of an inch border all the way around it. So first I'm going to start out with putting on my distress ink. So the colors that I'll be using are Shabby Shutters, Bundled Sage, Crushed Olive, Peeled Paint, Pine Needles, and Forest Moss. I don't actually know if I'm going to use all of these right now, but I got out all of the greens just for fun. And this is going to be a green card. I guess I'm just feeling a little bit festive from St. Patrick's Day or something, I don't know. So I'm going to start out with the Shabby Shutters, and let's see if I can get on screen here. And I'm just going to start working around my card. And I'm just going to go in order and add some color until I think it's really looking good. The trick with this is to put on lots of ink, because you're going to want the water to react with the ink that's on there. So don't be afraid to add lots of ink, because it'll create a cooler effect. Okay, so I've added all of my color, and as you can see, my hands are green. So you know you're doing it right when your hands turn that color. So I'm going to be using this stamp from Hero Arts, and it is called the Flower Burst Pattern CG315. It's brand new. Super excited to use it. And the bold pattern on this should pick up pretty well, and hopefully the lighter one will show up. I'm not sure, but we're going to experiment, and it might just look kind of cool, if not, even if the whole image doesn't show up. So I'm inking it up with a Versamark first. We are not embossing. We are using the Versamark to actually hold the water on the stamp. And I've just found that this works the best because it gives you the best impression, and it doesn't get all drippy on you. So we got that. Now we're going to just spray it with a fine mist from a spritzer, and I'm going to spray it off my table just so it doesn't get everything wet, but just 3 or 4 spritzes should be good, just to get it nice and shiny, but not soaking wet. So I sprayed it about 5 times there, and you can see there's no like puddles or anything, it's just kind of there. And now we're just going to set our wonderful green background right on the stamp, trying to get it straight, and then press down pretty well. You don't want to make everything squish around, but you definitely want to make sure it's the water transfers. And as you can see, we have this cool effect starting to happen. And it takes a little bit for it to fully show up. But you can see the image that has embossed. It almost looks as if it's embossed. But it'll show up more over time because the water needs to interact with everything. So I'm going to set that off to the side. Let that do its thing. And we can get started on our second one. This one's a little bit different and a little bit less time intensive because I'm not going to blend the background. I'm just going to take my tumbled glass distress ink and just go straight to the paper. You could go in with blending tools and stuff like that, but I want this to be quick, so I have no problem with going straight to the paper. And just make sure you get everything covered. You can see my fingers are getting a little bit of green on here, but that's okay. It'll just add to the whole distressed vintage look. I don't have a problem with that. So we have it covered pretty well. And by the way, when you stamp or use distress inks, you'll notice it gets a little blotchy at first. That evens out over time, so don't freak out if it's not completely even. It's kind of the look of the ink, but it does definitely kind of tone down over time. So next what we're going to do is ink up this wood grain stamp, also from Hero Arts. It's the S5208 Designer Wood Grain. And we're going to ink this up first with just a light coating of Versamark. And I mean light. So just tap, tap, tap. Just a little. It's only just to make sure that all the ink is sticking on there, not to actually have Versamark on our project. Although, you know, some of it will get on there. Then I'm going to take my peeled paint distress ink, because that should show up. Actually, no, I'm going to do forest moss and peeled paint and tap them both all over the stamped image. So I really want to ink this up really well, because the more ink you have on here, once again, the more you have to interact with the water. So I have my peeled paint, and now I'm just going to go back in with some forest moss, adding some dark spots. And now I'm just going to spray it with water. I'm going to spray quite a bit on here. I probably only sprayed 5 times on the last one, but I'm going to spray about 10 times on this one. So I'm just going to go off to the side and spray it. And you can see you have almost little puddles starting to form on the stamp itself. That's going to give me the effect that we're going for. And you can of course spray it less or more according to your own style, but definitely just give it a try and see what you like. So I'm just going to set this down once again and go over it very lightly, because the more water you're using, the lighter you have to press down, because the water does all the work for you. And it's okay if you're getting ink on the back like this, just means that you got the edges and you got a little bit on your finger. This isn't going to show on your final card, so. And you can see we have this really cool, kind of funky tie-dye effect that we'll see even more over time too. We need to let it kind of rest for a little bit and make sure everything evens out. So I'm going to clean off these stamps, and then I'll be back in just a second with the finished backgrounds so you can see what they look like after they've dried. So I've let these dry for a little bit, and now I have my 2 finished card fronts. I spritzed this one with a little bit more water so that it would blend together a little bit easier, and so you lose some of the harsher lines right here. And I think it looks really cool. It looks kind of psychedelic, and I like it. And then this one, it's a little bit more subtle of effect than I would have thought it would be. I could add a little bit more water next time, and definitely bolder images. You can see the bold flowers here picked up the water a lot better than the narrow images are. But this is still really cool, and I'm definitely excited to use this on a card. So give these 2 techniques a little try. I mean, really it involves just inking and then spritzing the stamp with water before you stamp it. So it creates these really fun looks. So thank you very much for watching. Here is the finished card with the flowers. And here's the close-up. And here's the wood grain pattern. And here's the close-up of that. Thank you very much for watching No Stress Distress Inks, and I will catch you again next time.